Hello everyone, and welcome back to Stats. We're talking about hypothesis testing once again today. We're still using our 5-step process. That hasn't changed. The only difference in these problems today are these are what we call small sample cases. And with small sample cases, our sample size is less than 30. And when your sample size is less than 30, that's considered a small sample, and therefore we're going to use a correction factor, which is called a t-score. Instead of using our traditional z-score, we're going to use the t-score to find our step 3 process. Okay. Other than that, in the 5-step process, it's pretty much going to stay the same. So in reading this problem, it said a medical investigator claims that the average number of infections per week at a hospital is 16.3. So he's claiming, okay, that the mean is 16.3 infections. So therefore, the alternative hypothesis is going to be that it is not equal to 16.3. And this is really one of those first examples where the claim has been an equals to problem, okay, where we've said that he's claiming that that's what he feels it's equals to. So therefore, that's our first step. Okay, reading on, it says a sample of 10 weeks. Okay, so our sample size is only 10. So therefore, since that's less than 30, we have to use our t-score table. And again, in the t-score table, you're going to use the degree of freedom, which is the sample size minus 1. So we're going to look up 9 on that first column. And the level of significance is 5%. So 5%, 2 tails. When we look up these two values, it's 2.262. Okay. If you think about what it would be for a z-score, it would have been 1.96. So a t-score, that adjustment is always going to be a little bit higher, that t-score for the small sample size. So 2.262, again, in our second step, we're going to reject the null if our score is greater than 2.262 or if it's less than negative 2.262. Okay. In the third step, okay, reading the problem, they said those 10 weeks, the number of infections was 17.7. So we're going to compare that to 16.3. Okay. The sample standard deviation was 1.8. And again, the sample size is 10. So when we do our formula in step 3, 2.46 comes out to be the t-score. So again, if I compare that to what we came up with the table, we're going to reject the null hypothesis because 2.46 is greater than 2.262. And if I'm going to reject the null hypothesis, then what I'm going to say is that, in this case, if I'm rejecting this, okay, there is not enough evidence to support the claim that the infection rate is 16.3. So what we showed in these 10 weeks is that the infection rate was quite higher than 16.3. Okay, the change was significant. It was enough to not be able to believe that that claim was true. So therefore, again, we're saying not enough evidence to support the claim that the infection rate was equal to 16.3. We're saying basically we proved that it is not equal to it. So again, the only differences here with the hypothesis test with a small sample case is we're going to use that table, okay, that t-score table, and using a t-score instead of a z-score. Other than that, the 5-step process is going to be the same. All right, so good luck with that, and we will talk next time about proportions with hypothesis testing.